I'm going to get each of us a button to bleep ourselves.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
We
yeah.
could even put it on the side.
Uh-huh.
So it's not like so apparent. You just be like, boop,
I'm
yep.
really good at self-censoring.
Smack the table.
Why is your hand red?
Or you can just put it on your body somewhere and just be like,
You're not even there. He's just censoring us at this point.
it's like so unenthused by like,
It's like I
have to touch
I'm
myself.
doing this.
there.
It's like you're not cursing.
All right, clink, clink, clunk, clunk.
Clink, 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 clink.
And hello, welcome to Strange Happy Hour. I am one of your hosts, Brent the Jesterhead Metcalfe, along to my right.
John, handsome John.
And to my left.
The dispatcher, Mark Plover.
Luckily, I know my left from my right. We are here to bring you, as we do each and every week, the weekly gaming and tech news that we would love to talk about. Because, of course, there's so much out there. This week's surprising amount. They'll kind of consolidate in a weird way. You'll find out here in a moment. But we don't have time to talk about Elon Musk donating $1 million to trees.
Who needs them?
He's not the only one.
They're going to be paper
Tree
soon
Elon
anyway.
Musk, as they call him.
Tree-lon
We
Musk.
also don't have time to talk about Sony shipping 102 million PS4s, making it the third.
Second or third.
It's the second console, if you include handheld, fourth best-selling console of all time. We also don't have time to tell you what the PS Plus games or the games with gold are for the month of November, though you should check it out in our runners-up section, or I think it's now called Top Shelf.
Top Shelf.
Regardless of all that, we do have time to discuss with you the things that we hear on this very podcast each and every week deem the important.
I was like, are we going to get to it?
Probably. We're going to let you start
I
since
actually-
you refuse to say the catchphrase of the
No,
show.
you said weak deem?
Week we deem.
We deem. Okay, I literally got confused with that wording, and I was like, okay. Sure. Anyway.
It was crystal clear. Come
I would like to start with
Clear
delay
as mud.
again anyway. Right now, Ubisoft has continued delay again with
Delay again.
pushing Watch Dogs Legion, Rainbow Six Quarantine, Gods and Monsters to the next gen consoles.
So that means minimally a year from now.
Yeah, we're looking at first half of fiscal year of 2020.
Okay.
Right now, the leases are still going to be on PS4 and PS5, as well as Xbox One and Xbox Scarlet, which is kind of means to me like we're just pushing it back.
Yeah.
Like we just didn't have enough time. We're using this as an excuse. Eves came on and said, "Hey, we're going to try to take advantage of the tech of the new upcoming new consoles, and we're going to want to release it all at the same time." And I'm like, okay, I think you're getting away with it, but it was the very same thing that happened with Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Black Flag. So
Well, I think it's different because these won't come out on this generation PS4 or Xbox One at all, whereas Black Flag did. I think this is.
they're coming out. It says they're being released for the PS4 and the Xbox One.
I thought the whole point of releasing it at that time period was to.
It says on there it will be released for it will be available for PS4 and PS5
Oh, then
and
yeah, it's the
Xbox
same
One.
exact
Now,
thing,
granted, is this going to be it's backwards compatible, so you're going to be able to play it for the PS5, but it's not going to work for the PS4. They have to release a separate one for the PS4.
No, I'm pretty certain the whole reason they said it's going to be released on the next generation is because they will have a PS5 version. If they're going to do both,
It says they were going to have it was going to be available for both. So hands down, it has to be.
Then that completely derails.
Wait, just to clarify, they did say first quarter of fiscal year 2020, right?
First half of the fiscal year of 2020.
Okay, what is their fiscal year run? Did they specify?
No, did not.
Okay,
and I forgot
so
what
we
it
can
was.
assume calendar year because that's what a lot of companies go with.
It's off.
It's like
It's
April.
off by
I think it's
3
April.
months.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's off by 3 months. 'Cause
Yeah.
But their fourth quarter would end in the middle of March.
might
But
March,
PlayStation
yeah.
release date was supposed to be holiday 2020 anyway.
Yeah, but that's not like that. That would put that in their third quarter, not their fourth quarter. Their
Right.
fourth quarter would start in January.
What I'm saying is, if it's going to be the first half of their fiscal year for 2020, then it's going to have to come out on PS4 first and then release after the fact for PS5.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's also going to be 2 more properties that have yet to be announced to be released in the last half of their fiscal quarter.
Raving Rabbids 3.
I'm excited for these games. I'm okay. I mean, if they're not ready, they're not ready. Don't push the brakes. I'm fine with it. A lot of people are I'm getting kind of annoyed with everybody just being like, oh, we have something to talk about, and then just pulling back. Sony did that with us with Last of Us 2, and
Ghost of Tsushima, everything else they've talked about for the past 5 years.
Technically, Ghost of Tsushima never got a release date.
I know,
we just know it got pushed back.
They've been talking about it, and they're like, it's coming eventually. You'll play as a samurai.
Yeah.
I am much less excited about this news because I thought the whole point was hey, we're going to take it off this current gen, put it on the new gen to get, not only give us more time, but take advantage of the
That's
tech.
what I'm saying. His whole excuse was just kind of BS.
Now, there are examples of this happening in the previous the previous transitional period, right? Where Shadow of Mordor was released for the previous generations and the current one, but was not even close to comparable on the previous generations because of the way that the Nemesis system worked. The processing power of the newer consoles was required for that AI to really kick in the way they wanted to.
But as much as they already had done with Legions, that's why I think this is just more of a delay for the PS4 and for them to finish stuff for the PS5. Now that they finally got the dev kits, probably a year and a half ago or so.
I think it really just depends on what they're going to do. So, I mean, because they're not going to release all 5 of these games at once, nor are they going to release all 3 of these games at once. They're going to pick and choose which ones go first.
Yeah.
So Watch Dogs very well will more than likely be a summer or fall game. I agree with you on Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
I think Gods and Monsters, if they can, they'll take their time with it to make it above and beyond what Breath of the Wild was, because that was their inspiration. They've already announced that this is supposed to be an open world exploration game, and if you have better hardware that allows you to really build in these systems that allow it to interact across the globe, world map, then why not take advantage of it? Now it could reverse that entirely and be like, by the way, Gods and Monsters is actually further ahead, and we're going to release that now because it's a little bit more generic and can be workable on both.
It could probably be put into a March or even a summer release date.
Well, and Watch Dogs' system is so ambitious. If you have more processing power and you specifically aim for that and cut out the lower end consoles, the concept of being able to take over anybody in that London map could really become something cool, much like the Nemesis system. So
agreed, and that's why I'm take your time, do what you got to do.
100%,
totally down for it. And Rainbow Six Siege, I absolutely could probably benefit from that as well.
It depends on what we
or
get.
Not Siege, but Quarantine.
Quarantine. I was going to say Outbreak. Generic plague name. It really depends on what that game is, because all we know is it's a 3-player co-op game. Mm-hmm. Cool. I want to see more. I need to know what we're getting into.
Hence the reason why I think you just saw they were just this is not going well.
And
we're going to have
summer 2020. Go.
Yeah, buddy.
Or 2021. Sorry, is what I meant.
Just push it back and just go for it. Yeah, whatever.
Just get rid of it. It's really cool. I think we're going to see more of this coming simply because also Skull and Bones. We don't even know what the hell that game is.
Yeah, it gets mentioned every now and then from time to time. Oh my god!
And Beyond Good and Evil 2, they have a lot
of going on.
Yeah.
And Beyond, oh man, yeah,
that's next gen. There's no way that game's coming out.
Not even close.
When they announced it, I was like, "You're fools!" Everyone's like, "Can't wait to play this on my PS4." I was like, "Well,
it's gonna come with a higher price point."
To be duped.
Yeah.
Especially with the social integrations they were talking about. Oh man.
New Orleans style coffee stout, delicious.
It is.
That's really cool. I'm interested to see what they fill their slot in with, because much like every other developer, Sony delaying Last of Us means they need to put something in its place. Ubisoft delaying all these titles means they have a very weak, first couple quarters. They have to do something with it. So I imagine there's a couple of games we're going to see that we're incubating that may have been softballs that they're like, we'll throw out now.
Surprisingly, Division 2 didn't even do as well as they thought they was going to. But we are seeing some pretty decent updates to it, so they're keeping up with it. And Rainbow Six Siege is that up-and-comer that is making them plenty of money right now, so they're not hurting. So they're like, let's just do it right and not make everybody mad.
They're a publicly traded company, though, so they do want to make sure that they're not too far down. Now, Yves Guillemot is definitely, able to sway the vote.
Oh, we haven't even heard about the Assassin's Creed yet.
Which is probably going to be Vikings. Can't wait.
Yeah, I know, right?
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. I do want to point out the fact that my personal belief, the reason why Division 2 didn't sell well, has less to do with the game, because I think the game is a stronger game than Division 1. I think it has to do with the ecosystem we're in today, where there are at least 10 or 12 of these games as a service games.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to keep someone on one when the next one comes around. Even games that are really good at that, like Fortnite and Apex Legends, who have been doing this for a little while now, they're still struggling with keeping people on. Fortnite has to release stuff over and over again. We've talked about it before, where their devs have to constantly put content out there.
I would even say that those aren't even like competing as much as like, Rainbow Six Siege is competing more along with the Call of Duties or, the reoccurring stuff that, I just feel like that's a different.
I think it is, but it isn't, because there's only so much time you have to play your console. And so a lot of the issues are like when Division 2 hits a lull, you go back to Apex because you were playing Apex before, but Apex is still giving content out. And what did Division drop? They dropped one other area you get to go in, and it's a cool place, but it's. Yeah. I finished it in a night, and the loot grind doesn't matter now, so I'm going to go back to what I was doing on Apex.
See, and that's the thing that I was really hoping that they were going to fix was like you have to keep going and just keep plowing forward. That was their whole point. They said we have an agenda and we're going to give it out. And then they end up having to backtrack, and that was like,
I think they backtracked a little bit, but again, I think it is also just the release slate. Like this was not a good year for them to have not tons of content ready to roll. 100% of the time.
They needed to be blasting it the entire year.
People are just excited and they want new stuff, and there's a lot of new stuff around. Why would you not jump around and play? I mean, hell, you and our friend Brian have been playing Borderlands 3 because it dropped.
Yeah,
Division's dropped one major, one small update since that game's come out, and we haven't touched it.
I want to say I don't think we have since we platinumed it right around the same time. Yeah.
So you guys have been playing a bunch of Borderlands
they're falling into the same lump. They had that one update, and me and Brian have been killing it, and it's like, all right, we're getting bored. Like, come on, like, what's going on?
I think you're gonna find real soon that there's only so much space for one of these games or a handful of these games, right? I just don't like Destiny.
It's the lesson no one's learning is that the loot grind game doesn't fit into this model. It's not the same thing as Apex Legends. Stop treating it like that.
It is and it isn't, because there's a loot grind in Apex. It's just not designed around weapons. It's designed around skins. And
I think the difference is the round base versus not.
Yeah.
Like that definitely, like realistically, like the missions that you'll do in Division, or Division 2 are going to be somewhat round based, and you can change them up from time to time or depending on what you want to do. But I don't know what it is about like the throwing that many people into a map and having a set amount of time anyway that you have to jump in and out, that kind of thing, and you really have to fight for it. It just feels different.
Well, a mission in Division 2 is on average 30 minutes long. I mean, you're talking about a round in Apex and Fortnite with their new respawn systems. Like, you die with your team, you're like, cool, we're just moving on to whatever the next match is. Like, you don't wait anymore. So it's so much easier to come into. I personally love exploring and going around the world of Division, but it is kind of hard to justify it when there's other things I'd rather play.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the lesson being is that they need to work a little bit harder on their planning.
Yeah.
And their execution. I mean, the ideas are good. You've got those down pat. Now it's time to move on to the harder stuff.
The only other thing I wanted to touch on is, like, we're watching some of these games go in different directions. Like, we watch Bungie leave Activision, and they're already leaning to the fact that it's basically going full on MMO. And Destiny is what I'm talking about here, Destiny 2. So with that regard, it comes down to the fact that I think they saw this was not a sustainable model for them. So they're moving the opposite direction, where it's going to become, World of Warcraft with guns. I'm really curious to see what happens with Division 2, Anthem, if they do anything else with it.
Yeah. I mean, they said they're going to support it. We'll find out.
EA promises.
Why? I know. So trustworthy.
But let us know what you think about what is going on with Ubisoft and all their delays. Are you excited? Are you pissed off? If you are, calm down, Aaron. Relax. There's other games.
Or you just don't care because there's so many games that it doesn't matter, and we're just going to move on.
That's also a thing.
Let's talk about what you have over there, Dispatcher, with these things called glass.
Glass.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Tubes?
Am I right?
Glass.
You referenced Google Glass
earlier.
Oh,
yeah. So. Sorry. I thought that's what we're talking about. Microsoft is partnering with Google, right?
No.
Oh.
Not even close.
It again.
Microsoft has been using AI to help them look into new ways of, developing more compact and permanent storage. So, current long-term storage, if you guys didn't know, is done on tapes still. Because you can get tape cartridges that will store 16 to 20 terabytes of information that are about the size of a 3.5-inch hard drive, if not a little bit bigger.
Okay.
And the idea is that, like on regular hard drives, bit rot is a thing over time. Over the course of 5 to 6-ish years, literally bits, because they're magnetic, will start to flip themselves from zeros to ones or vice versa. Big issue, and the hard drive, like as it runs on a regular basis, will do that. But the thing is that part of permanent or long-term storage is literally you remove the hard drive and put it in a mechanical shelf that a robotic arm can fetch. Now, tapes are better at doing this, and they're done very well, but the problem is tapes are very fragile. And unless you have multiple backups of this information, sometimes things can go wrong as far as that goes. So they're trying to find better, much more rigid, literally, long-term storage solutions.
Interesting.
So they're looking at glass. And what they're using is a 3-dimensional laser etching system that allows AI to read it afterwards based on how it scans it in that 3-dimensional space to literally reproduce things. And what they've done is they've etched the 1987 Superman movie onto glass and had an AI system come back and reproduce the video or reproduce the movie and literally display it.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Because
So-
Fortress of Solitude's made of crystals. That's why.
It is a...
Yeah.
It's kind of
No, that literally just hit me. Wow, good job. Yeah.
Good for you, buddy.
No, so this is actually a permanent solution that they're looking at. This is something they want to try to go for on a large scale. And the big thing of it is it's quartz-based glass, so it's extremely cheap and easy to produce. And as long as they build the laser systems to be able to pull sheets out or even small pieces here and there, that kind of thing, they can actually store pretty tremendous amounts of data from what they're saying anyway, that's yet to actually be seen and really determine like is depth of glass going to matter and a bunch of other factors anyway that come into it. But this is like their research trained, so they've given a proof of concept for this now. So they're going to start looking forward to doing this to literally replace their entire tape system.
What if we run out of silica and we can't make quartz anymore?
That's not going to happen.
That's literally not going to...
I believe that
The
is a
entire
possibility.
state
I would
of North
like
Carolina.
to have Microsoft stand for. I won't. I have nowhere. I'm going. I'm done. Yeah. I do want to point out that this is not developed by an AI. That they stole this idea from the Power Rangers. Because if you remember, Zordon was an old man who sat in glass, and the glass displayed him over it. So
I was going to say,
The quartz.
I totally feel like it was taken from Dr. Stone, but
that's fine too,
yours is even older, so you win.
Yeah. I think they should codename it Zordon. I'm just putting it out there.
That would
Microsoft,
be
you can
a-
hire me. It's fine.
Codename Zordon would be amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be great, actually.
I think this is fascinating because, as we were just joking about, like this material is incredibly easy to get a hold of. It's not hard to create. You're
Right.
talking about the long-term storage solution that would be completely feasible. At least that's what it sounds like. I mean, this is fascinating.
From a cost perspective, this definitely makes sense. From a permanent storage solution, like now, this is obviously not a rewritable thing.
yeah,
you know,
you're
tape-
writing it once. and you're done.
Tape
Yeah,
is
you
one of those
can't
things that you
just
can. Yeah, exactly. Just sand it down, and start over. But the
You
other thing
have
too,
5 rewrites until
After
the
you sand
depth
it-
is too
yeah,
much.
Then you sand it down. You take that leftover silica, reform it into new glass. See, it's just you're good.
Yeah.
so part of the reason they're using quartz based glass for this, using a silica glass for this, too, is because apparently it's going to be nearly indestructible. Is the way that they described it. It is going to be microwavable, heatable, freezable. It's pretty malleable to some extent anyway, like to the point that like you can bend it and flex it and that kind of thing, and it's not going to crack
What if
or
I
really
shoot it?
shatter on you.
That makes me think
I mean,
that
that's a little. I mean, realistically, if you take a silicon board and shoot at it, it's really not usable anymore after that. But
Exactly. See, nice try, Microsoft.
they need to say bulletproof.
Checkmate.
It'd say bulletproof.
anyway, I think this
It's
is a
not
really.
Brent proof, I'll tell you that.
I think this is a really neat solution because literally the next company I could see doing this is Google.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I mean, one, they're on the
Yep.
AI train. Two, lasers are freaking cool.
Yeah.
And why not? Especially for large companies like Google that have long-term storage solutions through their cloud offering, because you can do tape storage anyway on their cloud offering if you want to go for like long-term warehousing.
Yeah.
But with glass anyway, it's going to be a lot cheaper to work with. It's going to be a lot. I would say the read times and all that stuff, unless they can really like refine it, quickly, it's still going to be extremely slow. Probably slower than tape currently is, but it's still a usable
I was
thing.
about to say the read time, the way it's going to be read is going to be completely different too. So I'm wondering if they would like almost line up sheets and just have like a sensor just go in, read it, come out, and
Well,
read the next one.
So from a density perspective, it depends on how thick they could go with the glass on this. Because if it's
Yeah.
a 3-dimensional read, and let's say you've got 2 laser heads that move across that 3-dimensional space to pick out, what you're trying to look for, that could definitely. It's going to be slow, just because it's got to identify, whether or not a piece of the glass has been melted away at a certain met point or whatever. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm intrigued to see how this pans out.
It might be like not necessarily in sheets, but it could be in like discs still, like giant cylinders.
Well, so the one that they showed for where they stored the 1987 Superman was literally on a piece of glass that was I've got the dimensions, but I want to say it was maybe 4 or 5 inches square, like this by this, the entire movie.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It was like 17 centimeters, I think, by 20 centimeters. I think is what they said it was.
I mean, that's a lot of data in a small amount. So I mean, they could.
Like the density on that's going to be amazing, and if they can work on improving the density, then it just gets even better.
So in this instance, you don't have to light up the quartz. You don't have to do anything special to it. It's literally
a laser
etched into it, lasered, and so
a laser receives the reflection, the refraction of the laser. Like off in a direction of to represent a 0 or a 1.
Okay.
And I mean, you've got your binary reading from there, and I'm assuming they have some sort of layout as far as how they go through from a depth perspective.
It'd be cool if they had everything like in like balls, like glass balls, and they were all like chained together, and they were all just down. This thing just like
anal beads is what you're thinking of.
Yeah, exactly.
I was
They're
thinking
like
it. I didn't want to
beads.
say it.
No, what I'm thinking of is the fact that, like, if you ask any audiophile, the best medium for audio is a vinyl record because it is etched in there, and that needle reads every etching perfectly and displays the sound in a way that is much better than any digital medium we have. And I'm very curious to see if we can kind of replicate that utilizing this, because once again, you're getting back to reading the perfect indentation of it. Now, this is just zeros and ones, so it may not reflect the same way.
Yeah.
But I would be curious if they find a way to kind of manipulate it in that regard.
Yeah.
I'd be intrigued on that. Well, because for vinyl, I think it's a little different in that the waves themselves are actually etched into the vinyl itself.
I think it would be cool to actually. I want my favorite movie in that same crystal form, and I'll pay you money for it. And I have that movie just sit on my shelf.
And just on your shelf, yeah.
And you could like have like a little glowing light in it, and it just like. Psh.
Here's the entirety of Fight Club. Would be great if it was like all of it stacked together there, so you shined a light through it. It's like all the scenes, but all in zeros and ones, and you're like, yeah, I love that scene. It's so good.
That right there is the single dick frame.
Yep, right there.
From the
You can
movie
see
theater
it.
right there.
Just a couple zeros and ones. It's good. No, this is going to be really intriguing, especially like you're saying, if somebody like Google picks it up, and we're talking about...
Not a lot of faith in Microsoft over here. It's just
Well,
we're going to give it to Google.
It's not just Microsoft, but when technology is adapted by other large corporations is where you see that competition and help grow and expand on what these ideas are.
Yeah. Cloud platforms, anybody who likes doing big data warehousing, like if they can improve the read performance of this, like over top of what tape currently is, because tape literally takes forever as it stands, because a physical robotic arm has to pull out, like eject the one that is currently in the reader, put it back in its slot, then move to the one that's got the location of the data that you're looking for, grab it, physically move it over and put it in the reader, and then wind the tape back and then read it from beginning to end to find the spot that you're looking for.
See, this is where I see like a mechanical arm grabbing it and just like tilting and then just like spinning it and just reading it all on the sensor on the arm, and then I can put it back.
Nope. There's a separate cartridge reader at the end of the servo.
If they taught the robot how to read, it'd go a lot faster.
Yeah.
Hire me, Microsoft. Let us know what you think about Project Zordon. That's what I'm calling it from now on. That's what it's going to be. Crystal reading. Moving on to the final topic of our show. It will be BlizzCon. Now, I want to preface BlizzCon news with a few things that were happening outside and around BlizzCon itself, because I think it's kind of important for context. We can talk about first, of course, if you are not aware and haven't watched the show before, the Blitzchung incident that happened with the Hearthstone Championship. Blitzchung.
Never mind.
You thought I said Chung.
Yeah, I was like, oh man.
That's what he is. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
you did great.
wow.
You killed it in Hearthstone. You're the champion, buddy. Where he said free Hong Kong. They didn't like that. Slapped him with a fine and fired the announcers that allowed it to happen. Then they reversed some of those things. So the fine's much smaller. He can come back in 6 months.
Fine was gone 6 months. Yeah. And they also brought back the commentators after a 6 month ban.
So BlizzCon happened, which is all planned. And I do want to emphasize that this was planned out for a while now. I think that's important context given what we just said. Outside of BlizzCon, there were protests happening with people who are incredibly upset about the Hong Kong debacle. And it was proven right before the announcement or the show started that Blizzard was losing sponsors because of the Hong Kong debacle. Oh. So they actually have already lost money from Toyota and a couple of other companies.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So That all being said, Blizzcon comes out, and the president of Blizzard comes to express his apologies. You can look at it at face value. You can look at it however you want. I personally believe it was a very hollow, rehearsed, not very passionate apology. It was very obvious he was kind of forced to do this, didn't want to.
Yeah, he was doing it just to try to please
Correct.
whoever he possibly could.
You know, it is a not great situation because I haven't tried that one yet.
It's fantastic.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I am too. Because as heavy as this is, that coconut's gonna be refreshing.
You know, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. But in this scenario, I think they ended up in a not so great spot.
Sorry, Theodore.
You have one right here.
I'm selfish.
Okay, well, put that over there for Theodore. For Theodore. Outside of that, of course, we get into the major announcements. So the first major announcement would be Diablo 4 officially announced.
Absolutely.
They had an 11 minute, wonderful cinematic.
It was beautiful.
Incredible. I was actually informed this week by a coworker that they actually outsource their cinematics department. So like they don't outsource, people come to them. So they actually make money off of making cinematics for other people.
Interesting.
Because their cinematics team is so incredible.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited. Looks wonderful, including the return of Lilith in Diablo 4. They are also kind of going back to the nitty-gritty, the darker tone.
Yeah.
It's very obvious this is not Diablo 3, which had a nice, rich palette with different color schemes.
Seemed like League of Legends, or not League of Legends, Gauntlet Legends to me.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much of the like, hey, you're going to be in the nitty-gritty. They announced the Barbarian, the Druid, and the Sorceress, whatever, classes. There are going to be more classes announced. We haven't seen more of that yet. The gameplay looks very much like more Diablo, which I don't think anybody's upset about.
Yeah.
I think, of anything, that's what they want, considering the changes that happened in 3 that people were super pissed about. So they had to end up dialing them back before the console launch, and then here we are now. I did notice that there are mounts, and it appears that they're trying to make this game a much more open game. So previous Diablos, you'd go through chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. You'd be heading in a direction. You're in one world. You're exploring that world, but it's linear hallways. You're going down wherever you want. The story this time around is going to be much more open. You can experience it at a different time period, or like in any order that you want, in order to get to Lilith, because seems to be the big baddie. I'm sure Diablo will appear because it's always Diablo.
Yeah.
And it also appears that they're going to include things like mounts, so that would also be incorporated into combat as well. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on of the 3
great.
classes.
It's World of Diablo.
It's what?
World of Diablo.
Correct. Yeah.
WAD.
I don't know if it's going to go to that level, but yes. I think the one class I was very excited about is Druid. I really hope there's, like, right now they said they're trying to go back to basics with their classes, which is weird because as someone who enjoyed a little bit of Diablo 2, played the hell out of Diablo 3, I like funky classes. Like the Necromancer in 2 is my favorite.
Yeah.
In 3, it's the Witch Doctor. Like, I want somebody who has personality. I don't want to play a knight or a sorcerer or so, like the generic. So the Druid right now is up my alley, but I'm waiting for something funkier. Funky. If I even get the game.
I want something funky.
After
Where's monkey?
that funky monkey. That funky squirrel. Instead, or moving on from Diablo 4, they then announced Overwatch 2, which didn't surprise many, but has led to some interesting conversation. So, feeling a little parched. Overwatch 2 is going to be a game in which they're going to have new maps, new characters, and a co-op story mode where you get to play with your friends together. However, they've also confirmed that all of your purchases that you've previously made, retained. All of the maps that they had, retained. If you do not want to buy Overwatch 2, you can play on those maps with Overwatch 1. If you don't want to buy Overwatch 2, you can play as those characters on Overwatch 1. So it's very obvious that they're pushing this game for 2 reasons. One, the biggest complaint about Overwatch is that there is no story mode.
Yeah.
Here's a story mode. You get to play with your friends.
It was quite literally TF2 when it came out.
Yeah. The other one is it's kind of dipping. Like, their sales are going down, the amount of fervor. So what better way to get everyone excited but announce a new game?
It seems like I still hear about Overwatch League all the time. Is it not still going on?
It is one of the more popular esport events that happens, but Overwatch in general popularity has been dipping because, much like everything else in this industry, new things come, people get excited. We just talked about that with Division 2 and other things. Like, I mean, that's the heart of the beast, like when it comes to video games. So we have a really close friend who is incredibly excited for this game.
Yeah.
She plays Overwatch every day, all day.
Wow.
Hates Genji mains. Her words, not mine, but I'm with her.
I can't blame her.
Yeah. So I am interested to see what they can do, because if I feel like they're trying to pull a Destiny 2, where Destiny 1 kind of faltered. Like, obviously, Overwatch much more successful in that regard, right? They have a solid platform, a foundation. They're good to go.
Right.
But I think they're going to try and reinvent themselves in a way of like, we're going to make this so that it rolls out and it's going to be continuous content going.
Yeah, this is their fresh start.
But see, to me, that like they're trying to go the siege route.
Like the Febreze brothers is so fresh in here.
Oh yeah. Now they're trying to go the siege route.
Okay. Yeah.
Similar type of game.
Yeah.
Similar type of game. I mean, now like game modes are different, and that kind of thing, and obviously the play style is different. But from a mechanics perspective, like from a type of game perspective, it's not all that different.
Correct.
It's a first-person type shooter, basically. You know, that kind of thing with small rounds. You know, that kind of thing. So it's basically the same kind of game, and they're trying to basically replicate the same thing they're doing. And Siege has been extremely successful at it.
Of course, yeah.
So I can't blame them for doing this, but to me, going from Overwatch to Overwatch 2, I understand why they did it. Maybe I'm a little frustrated.
Okay.
Because to me, unless it's an engine rewrite or an engine upgrade, to go with it, it is quite literally the same game with DLC.
Yeah.
And that's why I was wondering, why didn't they just release it as DLC unless they thought that wasn't going to get enough traction?
Because it wouldn't have the popularity.
Exactly. That's
same thing with
the case.
Fortnite to Fortnite 2.
Yeah.
Same principle.
Yeah.
Like Fortnite might be losing some popularity over a while, which is why we haven't heard anything major out of Epic for a little while out of it. Fortnite 2 or Chapter 2, yeah. So it's like a new game, except it's not.
Yeah. Well, you can fish now. That is really cool.
I saw that article come whenever I was like scrolling through or whatever looking for something. I was like, no.
Yeah,
no,
you can,
I can't.
you can also
No.
use the fishing rod on land. What I do find interesting is that this could open up.
You can do that in Far Cry 2, and it's a lot funner. Same.
More fun, sir.
It's funner. It's funny. Funny.
Fucking barbarian.
More fun.
Fun.
You might head to
I agree with you entirely. And it's what's frustrating is that it'll work. Is the problem? Like people are so excited for
100%.
Overwatch 2. Like they're just gonna buy it.
There's gonna be a minor graphical fidelity upgrade or something like that. Neat.
And it can't even really kick. Like it can kind of kick in, but it can't really kick in until they wipe out Overwatch 1, which I think is their eventual plan, right? 2 years into the next console generation, everyone who had Overwatch 1 were closing down, support for that. You get 10% off by Overwatch 2. It's now $20. Like,
so I'm curious though. Is Overwatch 2 and Overwatch are the two of them going to have crossplay between them?
yes, that's the whole point.
Really?
Like if you have Overwatch 1, you have access to all those maps and all those characters.
Well, no. So, like, if I'm on Overwatch and somebody else is on Overwatch 2, could we be playing online on the same map together at the same
I
time?
assume that was the way they were doing it.
I would assume not, because then it would almost force you over to Overwatch 2 at a certain point. Because
That
when
would be the smart way
everyone
to do it,
migrates,
yeah.
because think about it, when Modern Warfare 2 came out for Call of Duty and Modern Warfare was still there, or World at War, Modern Warfare 2 took off. And then both of the other games, as they rightfully do, they tail off as far as who's playing. And the idea is there's no crossplay between them. Even if Modern Warfare 2 has maps that the original Modern Warfare might have had, you don't allow for crossplay between the games so that it's like, oh, it's empty over here on Modern Warfare. I may as well buy Modern Warfare 2. So it's the same thing. I could see them doing the same
but
thing.
with
Not only
their player
that-
base getting strained, that might actually hurt them more than help them. Because COD's a little bit different than Overwatch.
There's an expectation with COD that people are willing to spend that money, but I also agree that
it's
that's
to me, it's Blizzard.
Yeah.
So if it's a
also
Blizzard game,
Activision, who also makes COD. So
there's that. There's just a stigma there of you're going to spend money, like you're going to buy it, like
yes.
Like you're not going to expect that going to Diablo. Well, granted, Diablo is a different case. Actually, I shouldn't use that as an example because it's really not. But
I actually think you're right, but for a different, not necessarily that nefarious, though that works in their favor.
Right.
But I do believe that if they are building a better engine and they are building better graphic capability, like you're going to want
you're
to
going to have
play.
an advantage. Now that I
So you're going to have to play with people who are on the same playing field.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. Yeah. Moving on, of course, there are other announcements that include some more World of Warcraft news. So it looks like they're bringing a new expansion called Shadowlands. According to our resident Blizzard expert who refused to be on the show, sir.
refused to be on the show.
probably playing there right now with his joystick. Is Shadowlands is going to actually work to modify his caucus. It's going to modify a few of the setups that they have right now. So World of Warcraft has not the classic, but the regular game has a level cap of 120. They're going to bring that back down to 55 or 60, I think is what he said. Which means that they're going to have to actually reevaluate. So they have like special classes that start at 55 will now start at 1. Everyone's going to have their stats kind of condensed down. So it would be the same area you were before, but it's going to make it so that it's less of a grind in the sense of like, oh my God, 120 is so, it's a big hurdle to overcome if you're new, right? 55, 60 seems a lot more attainable than 120. So they're getting rid of that. They're adding in the afterlife to the world. They had a really cool cinematic trailer. So it seems like it's more of what WoW players want.
We were at the Halloween party, and when we were out back and you guys left, it was a WoW conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, yeah. What's interesting is that WoW community is split right now between Classic and the core game.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is you're like, yeah, and I think this is really what they want. And I was about to be like, well, if it's not what they want, they've got WoW Classic. Look at that.
Which WoW Classic is also getting some updates because they are adding to WoW Classic some of the world bosses that had been missing from it, as well as a PvP honor system next month. So cool. Those are those updates. And the last little bit had to do with Hearthstone. I know there's a lot of people who are upset about StarCraft missing from this conference. It was entirely.
Yeah.
Don't know what to tell you.
I think StarCraft 2 still does a good enough job from an esports perspective.
Yeah.
I don't, and that in the RTS market is really,
it's
tailed a lot.
It's not like there's a whole lot of people.
StarCraft is really the last big RTS that's out there.
Last of the Mohicans.
That is correct. They are all Mohicans in that game.
Indeed.
For Hearthstone, they announced a brand new expansion, which they do every year. It actually feels like every 6 months, but the Descent of Dragons expansion, which launches on December 10th. And they also announced an auto chess game for the phone called Hearthstone Battlegrounds, which is an 8-player auto player mode featuring 24 unique heroes. So once again, our resident Blizzard fan was very excited about that himself.
Indeed. Was there anything on there about the Hearthstone event?
No, I actually did not catch any of that. I'm so excited.
The Hearthstone event had its first female champion.
That is correct. I totally missed that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Chauvinist pig.
I can't believe it.
I'm going to butcher the name. I know it.
I do love caucuses.
I want to say it was Li Xiaoming.
That sounds right.
Something.
Because every single person who wins at Blizzard is Asian. I'm sorry. That's just the truth. That is 100% the truth.
I mean, if you look at the top competitors for
WoW.
For StarCraft.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. I'd like to know.
In particular, she had a very big quote.
Caucus. Sorry, it's just so much fun to say.
You're gonna feel really bad about that one for the way that for what this is about to be. No,
oh God,
I need to find it.
Okay, while you are finding it, we can sit here and talk about the fact that Blizzard is actually pulling out all the stops. Now, again, I do want to point out that this was confirmed by multiple sources to be the plan before the Hong Kong debacle, right?
Yeah.
So last year, BlizzCon was a big letdown. A lot of people were upset about Diablo Immortal. They expected an announcement for Diablo 4. And overall, people left feeling kind of cheated. As a matter of fact, I found out the one gentleman who actually got on the podium because they do questionnaires all the time. And the one who asked, is this a April Fool's joke? He actually was vetted. Like, they vet every person who comes up to ask questions. And so he was so pissed, he quit whatever question he was going to ask to say that to them.
Wow.
So anger erupted. Now, it really didn't help with this Hong Kong situation. I found it to be the first time in a while that I noticed my Twitter feed was full of people who were, really happy for the devs.
Yeah.
But I don't feel comfortable commenting on.
It was all over the place. It's like, we're happy this is coming out. We're happy that it's, what their work is coming to fruition. All their hard work is going to come out, but we're not going to cover it, or we're not going to really talk about it all that much in support of the fact that, it's what we feel what happened was wrong.
Yeah.
And until we see a honest apology and a complete reversal of punishments, I don't think we're going to do anything with it.
And I think that was actually really cool to see.
It was a thing that said exactly how they felt in a way that we all feel. We're not mad at you as the developers. We're mad at a company that chose to do something in a very poor manner that could have been handled, that should have been handled better.
Yep.
And you know, we're totally excited for what's to come out because you guys are good at what you do. But you know, all the same, we got to stick to our guns.
And that being said, we chose here to talk about it. That was the action we chose because we would rather talk about the news than not. You know, I joked flippantly about whether I would pick up Diablo 4, and that still is a question that I have to answer.
Well, you know, we talked about it. You know, it's like a couple of our friends, they're going to buy it. They're not in this realm that we are, and you know, the grass is so green when you don't have to look through the crap fields.
Well, I think from my perspective, I'm like for Overwatch 2, for example, I'll probably be one of the people to pick up Overwatch 2. Yeah, as much as I don't agree with what Blizzard did and how they handled it, they did reverse everything. So, me.
Yeah.
And Mark is part of the problem. All right, what you got?
All right, so it was Lee Xiaomeng. Username is VK Lion with 3 O's.
Okay.
So Lion or Lion, one or the other.
You're both dumb.
Pretty much. No. So she is the first female to win the Hearthstone Global Championship and be the first Hearthstone Global Champion.
Get it, girl.
She had a very heartfelt speech anyway with a translator anyway afterwards. And quote, 2 years ago, I remember when I was competing in a huge tournament. I was waiting in line, and there was this guy telling me, if you're a girl, you should not be waiting in line here. It's not for you. And now today I'm here with all the support from all the fans. So I want to say to all the girls out there that you have for those who have a dream for esports, for competition, for glory, if you want to do it and you believe in yourself, you should just forget your gender and go for it.
That's fucking awesome.
Hell yeah.
That is really cool.
Damn right.
I'm super proud. That's an amazing step. That's an amazing quote to put out there in front of everyone.
Someone using their platform for good.
Yeah.
Unlike our president.
It's a good thing she didn't get like
Yeah.
fined and
Who'da
banned. And
You
how'd you get past the one child?
Just to clarify, the free speech, the free expression of speech apparently on Blizzard's platform can go for one direction, but not the other.
Of course, yeah, that's how that works.
No, but I'm super happy that she
didn't say thank God or anything.
No, but she's on a very touchy subject of gender equality. I'm joking, of course, but like it's still it's fantastic to see that there's a woman holding the global championship for this, and
that earned her way up there. Like she
did.
She kicked.
She did. And I'm excited to see that she wants to be the role model. Yeah, that she wants to be the role model for other girls who want to become that.
Yeah.
Who want to strive for that. That she used that as her platform to tell every other girl that's out there that if they want to be successful, they can do it.
Yeah, I agree. It was very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. I totally missed it. That's on me.
You
Let us
suck.
know what you feel about the Blizzard situation and, of course, all of BlizzCon. Are you excited about it? Do you care? Are you in a field where you're not going to buy the games? Are you excited to play these games? Will you purchase them? I want to know all these answers to these questions now in the comment section floating above me in a miasma because I'm feeling a little sick. I'm a little tired. It's hot in here. It's not even like a nice cloud.
No. Don't finish that.
Take off all
No, stop.
I am getting so hot. I'm going to take my clothes off because it's time for last call.
Last call!
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. We do have a few shout outs, of course, and we want to discuss first our October monthly update video for Strange Gaming has gone out.
Indeed.
This is a wonderful video. We actually do these every single month, which include updates from us here at the podcast, as well as some of our streamers and whatever other initiative we are working on, hosted by someone who decides that he's going to try and mess with this mic stand. Again, he's going to get it. But of course, the video is in the description. You can also check it out yourself, where you will see our streamer from last month, Aki Bob, pass on the torch to Resilience, who is out there streaming on Twitch. I actually watched him the other day playing some Apex Legends and kicking ass. Here for you, buddy.
Booty.
Yep.
Outside of that, we of course also have our RSS feed because you can listen to us anywhere. You don't have to always watch these delicious mugs, but you can listen to us on the go, in the car, while you're on a jog, or maybe while you're cooking your dinner, which is when I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a lot of fun. And then finally, I think that is everything because I actually don't have a Humble Bundle. I normally do, but we do have a question of the week.
Actually, I've got something to pitch in before we jump
let's
into there.
do it.
So, wonderful event we ran this past Sunday. For those of us who played Call of Duty,
Yes.
we had, I think it was 14 of us we did sort of an impromptu, completely randomly generated 2-person team setup to run Gunfight. Gunfight, if you don't know, is like a random weapon and perk loadout, basically, on every single set of rounds. So, like, you'll do 2 rounds anyway with one set of guns, and you'll switch sides each time. So the idea is you end up with different pairings as you play. So it's a completely skill-based thing of, like, each side has its own set of guns or whatever, and then halfway through you end up with a gun change. It's kind of cool. So we did a completely impromptu... Like, we're just sort of setting up and doing this on a Sunday night because we got just enough people to do it on and get... I think it was about 7 teams together and do a full tournament bracket from beginning to end. Like, I think we streamed it on Strange Gaming US. So actually, if you check out if you go to twitch.tv/Strange Gaming US, you can check out the VOD from it. Okay. That's still sitting there, I believe. It's like 3 hours. But it has almost every game that was played, basically, with, you know, your boy, the dispatcher, Mark Plover, doing some casting. Also kicking some ass. So,
there you go.
No,
What'd you get on the rank?
Not very good. we lost both right away. But to be fair, my teammate was Resilience, and he had just installed the game because the last time he had played it was the beta. So it took him through like all three of the first set of games that we played, and then up through to like the second and third game before he was finally warmed up and getting up to speed and all that stuff. So. I was 9-4, I think, for like the first 2 games, or first 3 games, that kind of thing.
You went positive, man.
That's what it's about. It was a good time. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I enjoyed the casting afterwards. Like, it was definitely an all around fun time for the whole.
Well, hopefully, I got mine
squad,
downloaded so I can join you guys next time.
Where did you set this up?
What do you mean?
Like, you guys had to talk to each other somewhere.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. We were we were on the Strange Gaming Discord.
Boom! There we go. That's called a pitch. I don't know what it's called. I don't think it's called
a pitch,
but it's fine.
It's
it's
a plug.
Hashtag shameless plug.
Shameless plug. There we go. Now we have our question of the week, which is not necessarily a question, but mostly a statement. Name an important song to you, and why is it important?
That is a question. Why is it important?
And why it's important to you. Name a song and why it's important.
You
to
said why is it important?
Yeah, I do run on sentence all the time. I don't know grammar.
I'll start. Mine is. Last December, my December. I'm sorry.
Gotcha, buddy.
Sorry. Linkin Park. I first heard that song. I literally I was with Brent and another friend when we were in high school, and I heard that song and I literally just sat down with headphones and listened to that nonstop
the entire night. We were in our friend's basement. And he just sat there in the corner with his headphones on, staring at a laptop screen. Because that was in the day where like you'd put on the music player and it's like these cool little visuals, and he's just like, "John, are you okay?"
Yeah.
Like the iTunes like visual thing.
They're over there playing Need for Speed or whatever, and I'm just like, I'm good, man.
The entire night.
It was.
Is this the original or is this the?
This is the one we booted, I think.
So that would be the original, not the. Oh my God, hybrid or
correct.
Reanimation. Jesus.
Yeah, no, it was not the reanimation.
Yeah,
it was the original, and I don't know what it was about it, man. It sets me in the mood to chill. Like, and it's still to this day when I hear it, I'm just like.
And anyways, what you got for us, Dispatcher?
Ooh, see, I can't pick one. I have a different song for a different setup and that kind of thing. So
I'm picking at least 3. So
yeah, probably.
Well, that's not fair.
So you, buddy.
The family song. So my mom always had a song for my sister and I growing up, and that is "I Hope You Dance."
Okay.
By
Kylie Jenner.
No, definitely not. Most definitely not.
I hope you.
Does that come with the vitamin bear?
It is a country song, and the whole point is one of the lines anyway during the chorus is when one door closes, I hope one more opens, and it was her song to us anyway about like as every opportunity comes and goes for you, I hope that you find the next one for you and move forward with your life.
Okay.
I was thinking, I hope the other one opens, and always this becomes your coffin.
Jesus Christ, that got dark.
That's why I just didn't acknowledge it. I just moved on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to ruin that for you.
Wow.
He has an existential crisis on air. We're just laughing about it because that's what kind of people we are.
Yeah, we're horrible.
Anyway, probably the next one anyway for like the fire up song of like I need to get started with my day and really get moving is Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit.
There you go.
Oh God, like if I'm going down the road and like I need to get fired up and I've got like the energy to do it, that kind of thing, I will scream to the point like in that like deep snarly kind of voice or whatever to the point that like my throat starts to hurt a little.
It's just one of those days.
Love it.
Yeah, man.
Love it so
I love that
100%.
song, but
Listen to that after the podcast.
Yeah, right.
That's how you know how old you are.
Yeah.
You like Limp Bizkit? Cool. You like Break Stuff? Cool.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think the last one I had anyway from like a real soft kind of gushy song anyway was All My Life by Casey and JoJo.
Oh,
Wonderful violin solo at the beginning because you started singing that in the office at one point.
you know why? That is one of the 2 songs for my dad's wedding. That's his
Really?
wedding song. Yeah.
It's
a good song.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I can't blame him. Yeah.
That's really funny. Okay.
I can't even. I don't even know what that song is.
Oh, I'll have to play it after the podcast.
You'll
Yeah.
know it,
Yeah, I probably will. Just not by name.
Girl, you are. Anyways, so of course I have to acknowledge one of the many wedding songs I had, which is
Molly Connolly.
correct. No, it's a actual cover, but it's done by the band called Cat Power, and it's "The Sea of Love," which is the song that my wife and I danced to on the floor.
Interesting.
It is one of the songs that she had before I found it, and I found it through the Juno soundtrack, which is a soundtrack that she and I bonded over.
Interesting.
On trips that I would go visit her, bring her back down
Such
there.
an unlikely like
I know. It's just,
movie soundtrack.
oh, I love that soundtrack. It's so weird.
The whole movie's weird, to be fair.
It's up there.
Another one has to be. See, the problem is like Linkin Park means so much
As a whole.
to our friendship for the years that we've known each other. So I don't really want to pick a song out of there.
It's almost impossible.
It
Like the
really
only
is.
reason I could is just because.
But in the
Ridiculous.
same avenue of your spacing out in the basement, in same basement, we used to listen to Incubus.
Yeah.
Aqueous Transmissions,
Yeah.
which is
Okay.
a incredibly mellow song that has like 7 minutes of crickets at the end of it.
We listened to so much Incubus in that freaking basement.
So I think that one is definitely one that's there for me. And then the last one is a toss-up, but I'm going to pick one, and that is Eric Clapton, Change the World, which is a song. It's like the theme song for the movie Phenomenon, which has John Travolta where he gets like the psychic powers and stuff. That song was on the radio so often while my brother Adam and I were driving back and forth between Charleston and Ohio because our parents were divorced, so we were going to visit each one. And so he had a different song, and that was my song. And that song just still to this day resonates with me like no other. So
Okay.
did you want to add any more since we stole?
There's another
Two
one
more?
that's kind of really messed up, actually, that I really love. And I don't know why it soothes me when it really shouldn't, but it's Halo from A Perfect Circle.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
It's a great song.
yeah, I love it. Like every time we turn it on, like everybody wants to sing it, you know? And then, of course, there's one of our favorite songs from Tenacious D that every time we get together to start drinking,
Yes.
we end up breaking out into song. And that is, I love You Gently?
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Yeah, okay. I was like, I can't remember if that was it or was Love You Gently. I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just
Look
being
at that.
gross
John
about
got
this.
his first point for the podcast.
I know.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna get it.
For those who haven't been a part of the show, we actually have a little tally over here for the amount of times we've cussed, and I can tell you right now, I'm winning.
By a good margin.
But that's awesome. That's a great one too. I agree. That's one we sang at the top of our lungs, walking through Spain in the middle of some
Oh,
town.
yeah.
We have no one was
Just-
around.
So
One of the best feelings in the world.
I forgot probably the most iconic one of Strange Gaming specifically.
Okay.
Back when Dylan, Brandon, a bunch of us, Predator 4010, but when a bunch of us started playing League of Legends
Okay.
in
Nerds.
Dylan's apartment, we all had like 6 or we all had 5 laptops or whatever, whoever was playing that kind of thing or more, that kind of thing at the time. And we played the 10-hour repeat version of My Horse is Amazing. I don't know if you've heard the song My Horse is Amazing.
We're not gonna do it on here because we got a copyright strike. God. I know you want to do
I
so
want
badly.
to.
That's how you end that. That's how you
I want to. Yeah. I'll play it for you
I-
afterwards. But for anybody who wants to find out, myhorsesamazing.com or go to YouTube and look for My Horse is Amazing 10 hours.
You don't need to listen to the full 10 hours.
Listen to the full 10 hours because we did
a
it.
Full hour of us in this show. And of course, all of our other shows that we have each and every week here. We're actually going to do a double feature tonight because we're going downstairs to record a game episode that you will see
Well, they don't
the
know that.
following week.
Yeah,
I know,
they're
but
gonna see it
I'm
next
letting them
week.
know how the sausage is made. It's fine. You know, we do a little bit of paprika, a little bit of onion, a little bit of casing.
It had to be a
probably made from
sausage too.
the-
Like he
Yeah.
had to make it a sausage.
Wink, wink. I mean, you're talking about a caucus here. Please let us know what song means so much to you and why in the comments above me. Again, this weird miasma. It's almost like I Gigantamaxed. If you don't know what that is, Sword and
Below.
Shield Pokemon, look it up.
Below.
Until next week, cheers.
Cheers.
These just don't clang the same way. Really problem with